Hey guys, it's AJ. Welcome back to my channel and happy terrific Tuesday. Hey. So, if you haven't already, now is the time to think about the 5 things that you're grateful for today and maybe even 5 affirmations about yourself that, you want to say throughout the day to keep you in a great mood, great spirits, and keep your confidence up. So, today's topic is stress. We all go through it and we all de-stress or unstress in certain ways. We express our stress in different ways. And a lot of us express it the same way and some of them different. Some of us differently. So, but there are the productive ways to unleash our stress, and then there are the unproductive, destructive ways to release our stress. And now is the time to start taking inventory, because now is the time to start changing our bad habits and, change them over, do a 180 and, turn them good, make them productive. So, a lot of the time we run through autopilot. We run on autopilot and we just go and go and go. And we don't really stop and think, like, how much time am I wasting on this? How much money am I spending on this? Like, what could that time have gone to? How is this sacrificing my health? How is this sacrificing my family time or my values and things of that nature? So I want to take inventory today. It's time to take inventory and time to make some changes. So this is something that helped me out drastically. And I will say something that also helped me out was actually getting pregnant with my daughter. That cut the drinking out right there. But, there are a lot of vices that we go to, and, they're not always the most obvious ones. So now we have to start, doing some introspective looking and searching and making sure that we're making the right decisions for ourselves and our families. So let's get started. I got a checklist. Now we're going to do in the past 6 months, not the past year, the past 6 months, roughly. I know you can't tally up everything, but just a rough idea. So in the last 6 months, how much have you spent on alcohol? And when I say that, I want you to tally up, not the occasional glass of wine or the occasional, glass of liquor or whatever. If you're just like, okay, out casually eating dinner and things of that nature. But what I'm talking about is when you come home from work, like, man, I need a drink. Like, man, let's go pick up a bottle. Let's go turn up this weekend. Let's do something. Like, and I definitely partook in this for a long time. When I was 20, I had a really rough time with life. And, I had my issues and I was going through depression. So out of nowhere, I kind of up and moved out of my parents' house. And I got my first apartment. And I turned it into the party spot. My apartment was the party spot, period. And everybody who knows me knows this for a fact. And when I tell you, like, 20 through 23 is like a blur. I remember my days, my sober days, but it's the nights and all that stuff. Now, don't get it twisted. I never really got blackout drunk. I remember things, but it's like everything happened so fast. I could have been so much more productive. I could have done so much better for myself. And yet I spent thousands of dollars on alcohol. Thousands. Like, every weekend it was the turn up spot at my house. And mind you, at 20, I started working 3 jobs. Not 1, not 2, but 3. And then after the 3rd job, I'd be like, hey, everybody meet up at my crib, patio door open, turn up, let's go. And I would go to the liquor store right across and down the street from my house and go, like, get liquor by the box. They would have the boxes set aside for me, and I fill the mugs up, at least 1, but I usually had like 2 boxes. And then I'd be like, hey, let's go, turn up, let's get it. And that was just that. Like, so I really want you to take inventory of, and I didn't, to an extent, I knew it was a stress reliever. But then to an extent, it was like I was on autopilot after so long of doing it. And I'm just like, you know what? I don't feel like being alone. I feel bad when I'm alone. Let's turn up at my house. Everybody come over. Or what is everybody doing? Let's turn up. Let's go somewhere. Let's go to the club. Let's drink. Yada, yada, yada. And then, of course, drinking at the club costs way more than it does to buy a bottle at your local liquor store or a convenience store. So it's like, yeah, take tally. Take tally. 6 months. How much money have you spent on alcohol? The next, weed. And I might get a lot of flack for this, but let's be honest here. People who smoke weed every day are running from something. They're trying to numb something about their life. And I know some people will be like, no, I just like the feeling it gives me, blase split. But guess what? If life gave you that same feeling every day, being sober, you wouldn't have to turn to weed every day. Like, I could see if you're in like pain, your back hurts, or, you know, every now and again, it's a thin line between recreational use and addiction can be very hard to spot if you're the one in the midst of it, okay? And that's what I'm trying to get at, rather. You know, you could be addicted to weed, and I'm not saying that it's a gateway drug and then you're going to turn around and do this, but you really have to start thinking about how much money are you spending on that? Where could that money go elsewhere? Don't you want to start a business? Don't you have a startup idea? But you spending $100 on weed every week. Like, it doesn't make sense. You have to really start cutting back and thinking, like, what am I trying to run from? What am I trying to numb myself up from feeling? What about life is making me want to run to something else that makes me feel better? And then that's where you got to try to find the root of the problem. And that's why I want you guys to take inventory, because it's time to stop treating the symptoms of all of this stuff. You know, even at the doctor's office, you know, you tell the doctor your symptoms and then they give you a pill or some kind of prescription to mask the symptoms. But guess what? The root of the problem is still growing and festering. So stop treating the symptoms and go for the root. Like, literally, keep on going for the root. Like math, square roots. Like, until you can't, like, divide or, you know, whatever, break it down any further. Okay, I smoke every day. Why do I smoke every day? Because it feels good. Why does it feel good? Because life doesn't feel as good as smoking weed or being high. Okay, why doesn't it? I don't know, because I don't have a job that I want. I work a 9 to 5 and I hate it and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So you don't like your job. What else? And then you keep going further and further into it and further into it until you cannot break it down anymore. That's the point of this. It starts off as an inventory, and then it goes into a whole rabbit hole worth of whys. That's what I need you to ask yourself on a daily basis. Why? Why am I doing this? So, how much money do you spend on weed? The next is narcotics. So this one is more frowned upon than, you know, the rest of them for the most part. But yes, how much do you spend on narcotics? Now, that could be LSD, that could be shrooms, that could be, you know, and at one point I'll make a video about my opinion on psychedelics and things of that nature. I've never taken any, but from what I've researched and what I've seen, I have a different opinion about them now. But, you know, narcotics, even like opioids, excuse that. And I know a lot of opioid addiction starts off with doctor's prescriptions. So, you know, even if it didn't start off that way, you have to start figuring out, like, where am I spending my money? Those co-pays for that pain that wasn't really that bad, that you still kind of wanted your opioids for. Yeah, count those as well. So 6 months, narcotics. Cigarettes. This is probably the most common one, honestly. I know teenagers that smoke cigs. I know adults that smoke cigs. I know doctors that smoke cigs. It's like everybody, it's like, oh, pick up a cigarette. Like, it's just like, okay. And it's something I never understood personally, but that's just not me. Never tried a cigarette, never been intrigued enough to try a cigarette. But there's no judgment. There's just it's not for me. It's not for me. And I don't want to put that tobacco in my system. And I will get to part 2 of this in a minute, because I have to correct myself. I didn't want to put the tobacco in my system and, lung cancer and all of those commercials and, the tobacco industry is something else. So tally up the cigarettes, all of them. Also hookah. I know a lot of people with hookah addictions. And at first I started doing hookah for a while and I was like, this is weird. And it gave me a lightheaded feeling and I got nauseous. So I would really have to kind of find my limit there. But what I didn't know is that smoking one hookah is what did they say? 3 packs of cigarettes or something like that. I'm like, oh no, I'm not doing that no more. I'm good. What am I doing this for? A headache? I'm straight. So if I wanted fruity flavors, I can, drink a fruity drink or eat some fruit or something. So count hookah in with cigarettes. There's that. Call-offs. Now it's time to start talking about work. Okay? Because when you call off of work, it's a reason. And I'm not just talking about y'all in the big 3, the FMLA days, because it's nice outside and all this stuff. You woke up, you weren't feeling yourself, you were stressed out, you just didn't feel like you can even face the world. You called off. That day could have gone to making money. That day could have gone to being productive in some way, shape, or form. And yet you weren't able to handle that day mentally and or physically. So count the call-offs. How much money would you have made in those days? And then tally that up. 6 months. 6 months. The past 6 months. Here's another one. Sex you regret. So, everybody has different outlets. So I know some people's outlet is sex. And some of it may be, one night stands. You might meet somebody at the club and there you go. Or it might be you called up an ex because you were stressed and that's your comfort zone, but you regret it afterwards. It could be that you have a friend that you shouldn't have crossed that line with. You felt like you shouldn't have crossed that line with. And, you regret it now, but that's your outlet. Or multiple people and you regret it. Something about the situation is not sitting well with you. Take those times, tally them up, write them down. Extra sleep. Here's one that I fall victim to a lot. When I'm stressed, I want to sleep. I don't want to go out. I don't want to do stuff. I want to sleep because it makes me feel better. I comfort eat and I comfort sleep. So nap time is a very prevalent, sacred ritual in our home. So, and it's me and my daughter, Yomi. So, yeah. And her dad, he's narcoleptic. Don't tell nobody. Because he goes to sleep wherever. He be nodding off. It's ridiculous. It's hilarious. But yeah, extra sleep. What could you have done in those hours? How many hours per se, when you're on a stress day and you just want to go to sleep, how many hours on average do you sleep? Or have you slept? And then tally those up. Taking your anger out on other people. This is a big one because, you burn your bridges or, you really put a bad taste in people's mouths, especially, innocent people such as, your parents, your significant other, or your kids. And you really have to think about that. And don't be afraid to apologize if you do something like that either, especially to the kids. Kids feel things in a way that we need to feel. And so apologizing really does mean the world to them. You've done damage, but showing that you're mature enough to apologize really instills some great characteristics in them. And then they really start to look up to you and forgive you in a different way. It's amazing. So, yeah, taking your anger out on other people. How many times have you done that roughly in the past 6 months? Tally that up. Any other addictions? Anything. And that includes social media scrolling. Okay. We have to get on this. This is a big one for me. When you're stressed out and you just want to scroll and look at other people's lives, or look at something good to make you feel better, or look at something bad to, I guess, make you feel better as a person, or, you know, my life ain't as bad as theirs, or whatever the case may be. However you scroll social media, and for whatever reason, for, you know, the root reason behind it is, if it's excessive, tally it up per day. So I clocked a lot of hours on this one. Excessive exercising. Some people exercise in order to, you know, release the stress. It feels good, and it can be productive. Let's not get that twisted. But there is a line between, you know, being productive and exercising, and it being an addiction, and it's starting to have adverse effects on you and your health, and, you know, your family time, or, you know, the time you spend with others, and et cetera, et cetera. So take that into consideration as well. Everything in moderation. Everything in moderation. Self-harm. Most people know about self-harm already, but, you know, it's harming yourself. Cutting, you know, and inflicting pain upon yourself to make you feel something, essentially. So definitely tally that up, tally how many times you've done it, and try to seek help. Try to build up that courage to seek help for that, because it's really a shame, and you can really find the root of your issue and stop feeling so terrible. Overworking, the OT. I know some of y'all love the OT, and don't get it twisted, I love money too. But here's the thing. If you're stressed out and you like, let me just take some OT, let me just get some money, yada, 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 and you're neglecting your sleep, you're neglecting your body, you're overworking yourself, you're exhausted, your mind not working at optimal, you know, function, and, you know, you just, things ain't working out for you all the way, but you going in for that OT. It doesn't matter. Yeah, that counts. So tally all of those up, those hours. And physical ailments. So basically, when you hold in stress, it manifests itself into, well, when you hold in stress for too long, it will manifest itself into a physical ailment. So I know this for a fact. For me, it wasn't holding it in too long if what I was stressing about was just that deep to me, like if I felt it. Because I would start having stomach aches, I would be nauseous, I would start having dizzy spells, I would physically throw up. It was just headaches all the time. I had cluster headaches for like months on end because I was stressing, holding grudges, being angry about life. It was just a lot going on. And I had to really think, like, why am I having these headaches? Because I went, got an MRI done, and they didn't see anything wrong with my head. So it's like, but I'm facing these headaches every day, and they're debilitating headaches. They're not migraines at that point, but they're really bad, debilitating cluster headaches. And I'm like, what is my body trying to tell me? Because I wasn't listening when my body was whispering, but now my body is screaming to me. So I need to figure out what the hell is going on so I can fix it. So physical ailments. How many times have you gotten sick? How many times have you hurt yourself or injured yourself, and then it took way longer than normal for you to recover? Tally all of those up. 6 months from the past 6 months. And so now that you have a general loose idea of how much time, money, and health you've been sacrificing on stress, it's time to do something about it. Like, it's really time to do something about it. You got to think about how much money you've been spending and whatnot. So your homework today is continue to tally up what you personally express, how you personally express your stress. And then tomorrow I'm going to get on some breathing techniques to help when you're in stressful situations. Because I found that breathing, meditation, affirmations, and gratefulness literally changed the game for me. Changed my world, changed my life, changed my happiness. And it made me so much fuller than I was before. So tally those up. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful, terrific Tuesday. Ciao.